Hey everyone, Mark Hespin here. Follow me on the Mark KHMO on Facebook. Subscribe here to the YouTube channel at Mark Hespin, on Twitter/X at Mark Hespin, Instagram, same thing. All right, it's that time of the week for our post Week 9 NFL Power Rankings. Also, was waiting to record this later in the day here on this Wednesday, November 8th, to hear the news about Justin Fields and his potential for starting on Thursday Night Football. We'll get to that coming on up at the end of this quick little episode. As always, a little midweek update here in the NFL. Let's jump into it. Post Week 9 NFL Power Rankings. There's definitely some changes in the Power Rankings this week, but not at the top. Let's start with it. Number 10, welcome back to the Power Rankings, the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you do with the Pittsburgh Steelers? I was talking a lot with my co-host Dan Vasco on my Football Lounge podcast. He's a diehard Steelers fan. Like, is it sustainable what the Steelers are doing? No, absolutely not. But they're finding a way to win games. They're kind of like the opposite of that Big Ben 11-0 start Steelers, where they were like a couple of years ago, like second to last year with Big Ben. They got out to this 11-0 start, and we just didn't believe it, right? You didn't buy it. You were like, what? But on the opposite end, they were putting up points, but defensively they were not very good. This is just a defense that is carrying an offense, and an offense that has very little identity, like no identity whatsoever. But Kenny Pickett can win you a game in the fourth quarter. He's proven it so far. Steelers have earned the right to be at number 10 in the power rankings this week. Coming in number 9, the 49ers. They were 9 last week. I'm keeping them at 9 this week off the bye. Listen, adding Chase Young is great for the 49ers. But really what we've seen with this 49ers team with a 3-game skid is if Trent Williams isn't healthy, if Deebo Samuel's not healthy, this is not the same Niners football team. They're just not as explosive on offense, and Brock Purdy can't carry them. He just can't do it. Now, when Trent Williams is healthy, when Deebo's healthy, now you add Chase Young, this team could be making a strong run here in the second half of the season now that they're healthy post-bye week. Very excited to watch the Niners play again. Number 8, the Bills. The Bills were at number 8 last week. They're at number 8 this week. A really tough loss on the road against Cincinnati. I'm still not panicking with the Buffalo Bills right now. My ceiling for the Bills all this year has basically been AFC Championship game. I still think it's a possibility for the Buffalo Bills. The biggest concern with the Buffalo Bills, besides the injuries on defense, they're not going to get Matt Milano back. I like adding Rasul Douglas at the trade deadline to corner. But the biggest concern with the Buffalo Bills is their offense has no scheme. It's no scheme. That first drive with Buffalo against Cincinnati, they looked efficient. They looked like they had the script really great, and they go down and score a touchdown really easily. Here we go. We're getting ready for a 33-30 absolute thriller, and the Bills' offense just sputtered after that. The problem with the Bills' offense is there's just no identity. It's zero identity. It just is a bunch of plays being called, and then hopefully Josh Allen can hit a big play to Gabe Davis or to Stephon Diggs, which he can do a lot, but just not at a consistent rate. They have nothing to fall back on, the Bills offense. They got to figure that out, or else is this the beginning of the end for this coaching staff in Buffalo? Number 7, the Dolphins. They'll take a step back after the loss overseas to the Kansas City Chiefs. No shame in losing the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, the Dolphins are the best of the rest. Does that make sense? They just cannot beat good teams. They're 0-3 against good teams. They're 6-0 against bad teams. They got a lot more bad teams coming up on their schedule, a couple more good teams coming on up. Listen, while I believe the Dolphins are a real Super Bowl contender, not until I see it happen. Now we're here mid-November. Can they win a big game late? If they can do that, they can start moving back up these power rankings. But as of right now, they're just kind of the best of the rest. Now we're getting into the teams I think legitimately can win AFC championship games, NFC championship games, maybe even be in that Super Bowl bubble. The Lions, Detroit Lions, are going to fall a spot at number 6 during the bye week. I really like that the Lions went out and got another receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones, from the Cleveland Browns. Listen, this Lions team, I've said it for the last 2 months. They have the offensive line and the defensive line to compete with the top of the NFC. I like the Lions a lot. Jaguars at number 5. They're going to fall a spot as well while on the bye. Nothing the Jaguars did wrong. Offensively, I want to see more consistency. I want to see Trevor Lawrence develop that killer relationship with his wide receiver group, with his weapon group. The one that that just Burrow has with Chase. Those type of developments that Kelsey and Mahomes have. I need to see that from Trevor Lawrence. I need to see just that kind of like the little more of the dog in him. But otherwise, I like a lot of what Jacksonville's doing. And they absolutely right now feel like a team that could be playing in an AFC championship game. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're the big movers. They're up 3 spots in the power rankings this week, all the way up to number 4. How can you not like what Cincinnati's doing right now? Joe Burrow has been the best quarterback in the league the last 3.5, 4 weeks. He's been phenomenal, and he is really finding the stride that we're used to seeing over the last 2 years. The Bengals still feel like, to me, the only team in the NFL that any place, any time, any continent, any time zone, any home field, doesn't matter, they will play you, they'll be ready to go, and they're going to put up a fight. I can't say that about every team in the NFL. Their defense isn't as good as the other 3 teams in their division, but they still have a really nice defense, a nice pass rush, and offensively, they can score with the best of them. Joe Mixon is an underrated running back in the NFL. Love the Bengals at number 4. Ravens at number 3. To me, the Ravens are right now absolutely a Super Bowl contender. They have an identity. Unlike the Bills, the Ravens have something to fall back on. They have a run game that will just punch you in the mouth. They have an offensive and defensive line that are nasty. And Lamar Jackson isn't having to be Superman, which is really, really great news if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. Because you know Lamar Jackson can be Superman. He can be the guy just carrying you. But not having to rely on that is great news as you're entering into November football. Ravens at number 3. Chiefs at number 2. Again this week. Listen, with the Kansas City Chiefs, the one thing I'll say is they are not scoring points the way we're used to them scoring. 6 out of their games this year, they've scored 24 or less points. And one of the games they scored over 24 points was the blowout win against the Bears when Taylor Swift was in the stadium. So, how much do we really account for that with the Kansas City Chiefs? Offensively, they're not there yet. But defensively, this is by far the best defense Mahomes has had in his career, and they can't waste that. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you're Andy Reid, you're Patrick Mahomes, in Travis Kelce in those meetings, you've got to be coming together saying to ourselves, how do we make sure we don't waste this defense? Because you'll probably never have a defense like this again with Mahomes for the rest of his career. It's rare that top 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks get consistently great defenses. This is a great defense. They can't waste it. They got to get those wide receivers on the same page with Mahomes. They've got to find a way to become a little more explosive offensively. But otherwise, that's just nitpicking. This is a great football team. Philadelphia Eagles are number 1. Listen, the Eagles were outplayed by the Dallas Cowboys, and they won that game. That's how good this Eagles team is. Again, defensive line, offensive line, 2 of the best units in football. And Jalen Hurts is really coming to his own as a clutch quarterback, big play quarterback. A.J. Brown has been phenomenal. Devontae Smith. They got the weapons. They got the guys. I like the Eagles still as the number 1 team in football this week. So there's your power rankings. As far as the Chicago Bears go, in a little Thursday night football preview, looks like we're going to get Tyson Bagent again for the Chicago Bears. This is one of those, you can't win for trying, you can't lose for trying. I mean, you're just at a loss. It feels like I'm just watching the toilet, just the swirl down the drain, the hopes and dreams of the season. Justin Fields not playing is probably the best move. Let's be honest about it. He'll get the 10 days of extra rest. The Bears will still have a bye week. And that way they know he can be 100% healthy, not have a glove on his hand going for the rest of the season. This is a Bears team that is motivated to win games. At this point in time, when Justin Fields comes back healthy, the way this Bears team is playing after adding Montez Sweat, I feel like this Bears team will find a way to squeak out 4, 5, 6 wins. Somewhere in that road, probably end up around 5 wins. If they can do that, they'll take themselves probably their own pick around the 3 to 4, 5, 5th pick in the draft. It'll be what the Carolina Panthers can do. It's a race for the bottom right now for the number 1 pick with Carolina, with New England, and with the Giants. I think the Bears and the Cardinals, now that their quarterback's coming back, they're going to win too many games to be in the number 1 pick. We'll see what happens right now. But as a Bears fan, I got to be honest, secretly, I'm kind of hoping that the Panthers don't end up with the number 1 pick and the Bears don't end up with the number 1 pick. And then we can get rid of all this. And Justin Fields plays really, really well. And then you can just draft 2 great players to build around Justin Fields in this franchise going forward. Find a new offensive leading head coach and build that way. That to me feels like what the Chicago Bears franchise needs most right now. They need a new coaching staff. need two great top 5 players to build around Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Montez Sweat, Sam Bourne, and some of the other stars that they actually have on this team. Thursday Night Football is going to be a rough one. I'll have a full update of Thursday Night Football, breakdown of all of Week 10 action, picks, college football preview, Saturday morning on The Mark, News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. Subscribe to the YouTube if you like this, at Mark Hespin on YouTube, at Mark Hespin on X/Twitter, at Mark Hespin on Instagram, MarkHespen. Thanks for tuning in on The Mark KHMO on Facebook if you want to follow the show there.